Hey, DM Dongo here with another review from the DM's Guild. This time we're looking at the Stalker class by Jacob S. Kellogg on sale for $3.99. Stalking your prey, fun for the whole family. The Stalker is a brand new class for D&D 5th edition with 4 subclasses: the Bounty Hunter, the Ghost Killer, the Monster Hunter, and the Ninja. The Stalker, broadly speaking, seeks to fill the gap of party tracker, and as such their abilities are centered around finding, stalking, and eliminating either a single target or a group of targets. The class has specialities that allow it to track targets, dabble in poison, and deal extra damage to your quarry, which you can designate with a bonus action, and that extra damage increases as you get higher and higher in level. In addition to this, the ability Ambusher allows the Stalker to add their intelligence modifier to initiative rolls and score a critical hit on any target that hasn't taken a turn in combat yet or is unaware of your attack. At 3rd level, they choose their Speciality, which is the aforementioned above. Then you have the usual fare of ASIs at 4th, 8th, 10th, 12th, 16th, and 19th level, very similar to a fighter. Next is the 5th level extra attack, and then Eyes of the Hunter at level 6, granting dark vision exactly like the Eldritch Invocation Devil's Sight from Warlock, gaining 120 feet of dark vision that operates both in non-magical and magical darkness. At 9th level, once you've designated your quarry, you can no longer lose sight of it, so going invisible is no longer going to keep them from your clutches. At 11th level, you gain Invasion, and at 14th, you can take 10 whenever you are tracking your prey, and magic can no longer obscure their tracks from you. At 15th level, you become immune to the poisons you work with, and at 17th, you gain blind sight out to 15 feet. Finally, for their capstone, your quarry is even more in trouble, as all attacks against the quarry target are made advantage and critically strike on an 8, 19, or 20. Now the specialities, starting with Bounty Hunter. Stylized as the greatest detective, even its first name ability has references to Sherlock Holmes. The Bounty Hunter is an odd thing though, and its abilities are as follows. The first ability they get allows them to designate a nemesis. It's somebody they have to have a general idea of. It doesn't have to be their real name, but it can't be things like the guy who killed that man over there. It has to be more like the rat or the snail or something of that nature. So code names are okay, but weird like vagaries are not so good. Now, the Games Afoot, which is their second ability, granted the Bounty Hunter advantage on all ability checks made to learn, gather, or recall information about the nemesis. The next ability, granted level 7, grants advantage on Wisdom Intelligence saving throws against magic, and if you damage an enemy, you can add your Intelligence modifier if they try to maintain concentration on a spell. So the DC to maintain concentration goes up by your Intelligence modifier. Then Imposter at level 13 allows you to mimic speech, writing, and behavior of others, similar to the Actor Suite, though far more broadly defined than that one. Finally, you can do the extra amount of damage to your nemesis, and you do an extra amount of damage to your nemesis based on how long they've been your nemesis. And you always know where they are, up to a mile. The Ghost Killer. It changes the damage type of the Stalker's focus to Radiant, and grants extra damage to Undead. They also gain advantage on any check to learn or recall information about the Undead. At 7th level, the Ghost Killer can locate any Undead, even ones hiding under the covers. Then you have Unquenchable Soul, making them resistant to necrotic damage and immune to having their ability scores or hit point max reduced, which are the usual go-tos for a lot of Undead out there. Finally, at 18th level, you gain the ability to drain out Undead so long as you do radiant damage. You can give those vampires a taste of their own medicine. Now, Monster Hunter. No, not that kind, but kind of that kind. Titan Slayer, you hit big shit hard. 1d8 hard. Landstride plants no longer slow you down, and that difficult terrain your halfling friends are complaining about doesn't seem to bother you. Multi-attack defense grants an AC bonus if the enemy just won't stop hitting you over and over again. And finally, Tough as Nails. For when that large creature decides they've had enough and decide to breathe fire, you get advantage on the saving throw to avoid it. And finally, we have Ninja. Unarmed defense using your intelligence and dex mods in place of armor because you're just that cool. Sneaking on using intelligence and hiding using a bonus action. Misty Step at level 7. Greater invisibility at 13th. And every ninja worth their salt needs an ability called Death Strike, potentially causing double damage in addition to being a crit to the unlucky bastard you managed to surprise. Right, now onto the good things. It's kind of nice to see an intelligence-based-ish fighter. It kind of reminds me of the Sherlock Holmes movie, the one with Robert Downey Jr., not the one with Benedict Cumberbatch. Ranger fills a lot of the same roles that this class does, but I think this one does a better job of it. It's more focused on the tracking side of it, and in the right campaign, I can see this one really shining, perhaps chasing some terrible criminal across the world. Thematically, this class is really well defined, and I love the idea of it. Each of the subclasses brings something unique to the overall class, each looking either at a specific type of creature or type of playstyle. I really like the ability Checkmate. Waiting to maximize the damage and planning your eventual assault on a target feels really good. Now some not so good things, and I want to specifically start with balance. Some of the abilities are a little strong, particularly Ambusher, as if I think I'm reading it correctly, a Stalker can hide and then guarantee themselves a critical hit nearly every round if they can use the hide action as a bonus action like the Ninja subclass can, or if they manage to get a 2-level dip in Rogue. Eyes of the Hunter as well can be incredibly powerful, as the ability to see in magical darkness is one of those Warlock abilities that they abuse quite a lot. Couple that with Ambusher and you have a real monster on your hands. So all you need to do is either blind, heavily obscure, or in some way cause darkness to your target, and bam, you've got yourself some 3 criticals, boy. Some of the abilities seem a little odd in comparison as well to the Stalker's ethos, being poison or being among them. As hold on a second, let me check on the price of poison, base poison in the player's handbook. Oh yes, 100 gold at level 2. Most adventurers aren't going to have that kind of cash laying around to dump on a single use item that only adds a d4 of damage. Now there are some better poisons in the DMG, but then crafting them is very complicated or difficult. Drow poison requires it never to be shown in sunlight, and the purple worm poison requires you to kill a purple worm. Quite a hefty task. Now, yes, the poisons get stronger, and obviously they do more damage, but it might have been nice to include something in this section about here's some additional poisons, here's their DCs to craft, and kind of give Dungeon Masters some guidance on how to actually implement this class, or implement these 2 features that this class relies on. Bounty Hunter also felt the most lackluster. Great Detective and Game of Foot are really nice, but Mage Slayer and Imposter are a bit weird, and there might be better ideas around reading humanoid opponents that you could implement instead. Also saying that, this is where one of my favorite ability comes from, as Checkmate is a really, really fun, unique, and interesting idea around tracking prey for multiple days. 2 of the subclasses and kind of 3, the exception being Ninja, really hinge on your DM not being an asshole and throwing either no undead at you in the case of Ghost Killer or nothing larger than an orc in the case of a Monster Hunter. Speak to your DM about this, because there's nothing worse than specializing in eliminating undead and being told you're running a Feywild campaign. Now, on to my final thoughts and my rating. A lot of good, a lot of not so good, but nothing a second look with a little adjustment won't fix. I like the base, it fits the role that Ranger is supposed to, but does it in a much better, more thematic way that doesn't rely on magic. I do think Ambusher is a bit strong and easily abused, as a similar ability from the Assassin subtype on Rogue only triggers on surprise. I would expect a similar restriction, as being unable to see your attacker can become extremely common. I really love the Ghost Killer archetype. It's probably my favorite of the lot, and every ability is perfectly themed and doesn't feel too powerful or too weak, and it strikes that balance really nicely. The class has a lot of promise and a real good base to work from, but for the moment I'm going to rate it a 3 out of 5. It would take some work on my part before I allowed this class into my game and at my table. I think there's some design room as well to make a really cool version of a Bounty Hunter that might be better than what's currently on offer. Thank you, this has been DM Dongo. Please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're going to buy anything from the DM Scale, please use my affiliate code down below, as that helps the channel out more than anything else. And peace out.